Welcome along to the form. What a day in front of us. So Group 1 racing out of Hastings with the Livermore Classic. Also the Group 3 Red Badge Spring Sprint. We've got the Group 3 Barnswood Farm 3-year-old out of Ashburton, and Group 1 racing in Australia as well. The Caulfield Cup, and along with that, the Everest out of Cranbrook. We've got the big show in front of you, previewing all the action with all the right sort of guests. Let's see who's coming up. We begin with linking in with Bevan Sweeney to talk Livermore Classic Day out of Hastings. We'll talk with Tony Pike around his team at Hastings and Ashburton. Matt Cross will join us to talk the big day of racing out of Ashburton. We'll link up with Andrew Forsman. He's got key runners both sides of the Tasman this weekend. Damien Thornton will talk around his ride in the Caulfield Cup on Ocean Billy. And we'll talk with Michael Walker, these days doing a lot of work for Racing.com in a previews type role. And then we'll get you to Sydney with form analyst Brad Gray talking about Everest Day out of Randwick. Group 1 racing this weekend at Hastings. It is Livermore Classic Day, the culmination of what's been a really good spring carnival. No call sign map for this one, Bevan, but still a really good competitive Group 1. How are you looking forward to the day?
Really excited, Aiden. I think the supporting fields are outstanding. And look, the Group 1 just has a much more competitive punting angle to it, doesn't it, than the races with call sign Mev in it. So, look, we don't have a Group 1 winner in the race, and I've read a bit of social media about that. However, from a punting angle, I think there's a lot more opportunities than day 1 and day number 2. And those staying horses might just come to the fore. Savion Blanc, Leonard Cord, Bowden in the Group 1 on Saturday. But across the meeting, some really nice horses going forward into the back end of the spring and into a summer to look forward to.
There'll definitely be a Group 1 winner coming out of the Livermore, Bevan. Can you find us that horse?
Well, I think there's 3, especially with Big Mike in the race. I think the tempo's guaranteed to be there with Tappy's one in the buzz, more than likely going forward. So there should be enough tempo for horses to find a slot. The 3 stars I've come up with, Bowden, who's done a great job with big weights through the first couple of runs. Savion Blanc was outstanding day 1, Forgive It Tarapa. And Lanark Cord, I think it's been trained to the minute for the 2,040 metres on Saturday and looked good over the 1,600 metres. Out of those 3, I'm going to stick with the CD Raider for Stephen Nichols, maybe a little bit of local bias here, but I thought the run over the 1,600 metres was good on day number 2. It'll love the step up to 2,000 metres and further, going further on into the summer. I think she's primed to run a big race. I just think her price is fantastic at 17 and 450 when opening. I think Bowden's his map's a little bit messy to where he gets to in the run, but he's got really good quality. We know his abilities. Savion Blanc, unless they change tactics, this horse will more than likely be back in the field. But she did finish off nicely here, day number 1 over the 1,400 metres, and she'll love the 2,040. And look, then I was a bit in between who to put him for 4th. Look, if Harlech backs up with it over the 1,600 metres, he should be there or thereabouts. And wouldn't surprise me if Big Mike just leads up and hangs on to run in the money on Saturday. But I'm going to tip you a bit of value in the Group 1. I'm going with Lanark Cord, the mare contributor, who was an Oaks placed runner last season and, of course, performed with so much credit across the ditch.
Absolutely. And leading into that, Oaks was a Group 2 winner at Hastings over this trip. So, like, there's no cast on her. She's a bona fide contender in the race for sure. Let's move you back to the Red Badge Spring Sprint, a Group 3. And, wow, this is a race with a bit of quality about it, Ben.
Yeah, it is, and it's got so much speed in it. The mitigator, look, Magic and Kento, if it sticks to what it did the other day at Hawera, it'll be in the early speed battle. They've got Streak of Power, Colorado Starlights to be positive, Cruiser Ramirez. So there's just a poultice of speed here. You could probably throw in there Alley Cat and Vega winners. So there's going to be a real shuffle up early in this particular race. And it's probably the best of the Group 1 sprints, or not Group 1 sprints, but Group 3 sprints on this day that I've seen for a period of time. Look, I've landed on Hypnos as the winner. I thought he was really, really good over 1,200 metres in behind Brando the other day. Of course, he took out this race last season. His draw's niggly out there, but I think that's tempo in this race. We'll probably see him find the right spot, and he'll be hitting the line strongly over the 1,400 metres. Quality horse, of course. He's taking out a Copeland's Mile. So I'm going to stick with him. Outside of that, look, our Alley Cat, you just can't knock what this horse did on day number 2. It's got a great draw to find, a very good spot under Sam Weatherly, probably a better spot than it found on day number 2 after blundering at the start. So I'm not going to knock this horse's chances after probably missing it a fraction on day number 2. Brando, he's one of these horses, Rod. Sometimes you just, after a big performance, he's just that little bit of a worry next up. He can run a great race and then just be a little bit fair, but look, if he runs up to what he did fresh up, then yes, he's got to be right in the mix. And look, time's ticking was amazing at Hastings and behind Alley with what he did over the 1,300 metres. So I expect him to be in the mix, but I'm leaving out horses like Colorado Star, who's going great guns. Tabata's a good mare, and I saw Guilada give Cruz Ramirez a real touch-up in track work on Tuesday morning. I think that's out of this race at $41, but it's that type of day. But I'll mark them 3 to bet 9, 6 and 11.
Okay, outside that, we've spoken about there being some really good quality undercard races. Have you found the best for us for the meeting, Bevan?
I have found one, Aidan. It's fresh up. Joy Alone in race number 5 on the program in the 74 mile. It's a good race, this. Eurostar's got talent. You've got Flavius, Messier, and others. So it's a good race, but this horse comes into this race off a very good trial. Through its last preparation, it was beaten a lip by He's a Shocker in a 100,000 3-year-old event at Ellerslie. Prior to that, it was a good winner at Awa Pony and Black Type. Just got a feeling that they've set this horse a long way out for this particular race. It's fresh at 1,600 metres. Look, you're getting 450 on it. I would like a little bit more on a race like this, but it was the one after going through these fields a million times that I thought, well, we've got a little bit of confidence on that one to be certainly in the first 3. And yeah, I'm going to go with it as my best bet on the program.
Okay, chuck us something at a big price, Bevan.
Well, everyone knows my love affair with Zoe Satin, and it has been fantastic across its last 3 starts. Look, the track being firmer maybe puts a little bit of niggle on my mind, but gee, this is a progressive horse, Aidan. It was fantastic winning at Waverley. Backed it up with a dominant performance at Awa Pony. On a track I don't think it really liked, but it was still finding at the line and had plenty left. So I'm not going to jump off the ship with Zoe Satin. She's at $8 in the market, and I think she'll run a race again. I think she's going to go through to serious grade, so I expect her to go close on Saturday. Okay,
really looking forward to your coverage coming through from Hastings. Group 1 day, and really good quality finale to the carnival. What time will we see you on track, Bill?
I think we start around about 11:45. We'll catch up with T. Lee, have a chat about the day ahead. Richard Fenwick at the same time to get a rundown on the track conditions, which should be perfect, Rob. But I think it's a real punter's day because I can name 4 or 5 horses. Connor Kieran, I think, is a little bit overs, and I see the team are in there. It jumped out fantastically the other day in a really quick time. I think he might be close back to his best. You've got Lanarcourt at 17s. Look, there's a host of them. Lincoln Hills is at 41. I'm not saying that he can't win this race. So for those who like to play 5, 6 in a race, I think it's their day to be finding the right one.
So that was Bevan Sweeney taking us through Hastings, and Bevan's been out and about as well. He's gone and watched Lanarcourt work ahead of the Group 1 Livermore Classic out of Hastings and caught up with trainer Stephen Nick.
First and foremost, let's get your reflections back on that first campaign.
Oh mate, the first campaign was wonderful. She did so much for us. It was a hell of an experience, to win a Group 2 race there at Hastings, and the 3rd place in the Oaks. Well, that was pretty special.
Outside, walking on the one later start saying, oh, I don't know here. I don't know. The jockey's got up. Chance Star's had a dip right at the track, but she's kicking Emeralinia. She's too good in the Oaks, and Emeralinia, brilliant. Chance Star, Lanarcourt.
Then we carried on. We decided to carry on to Aussie, and big thank you to the owners, Kevin. He's family, so he kind of. It was a shame he didn't get to come with us, but that was a hell of a trip and a great experience, and met some wonderful people and got to have a good bit of fun with it as well.
The fresh horse arrives to the lead with 100 to run from Lanarcourt, and Mimi's Award takes the Tab SA Fillies Classic. From Lanarcourt, Biaggi.
Coming in from Adelaide, we had 22 degree days, so we just kept it boxed when we turned her out when she got home and out in the paddock during the day, but she's pretty chilled out animal load. She's out in the paddock every day and lays down and has a good sleep and conserves the energy until we need it. So she could have gone out in the paddock and forgotten about it if we needed to.
We've seen her work a good, strong gallop this morning. She's not the most energetic track worker I've ever seen,
she's about the same at home. You get on her and she wants to buck and play for the first 2 minutes, and then she's, oh, I'll just be a farm hack now. So she's never been one to really set the track alight. We'll often gallop her in blinkers if we think we just need to sharpen her up a fraction, but her work this morning was as good as it normally is. She worked with the other horse, and she always hits a bit of a flat spot, sort of the 8 to the 6, and then she picks up again and comes. It was brilliant that Leah was here. She knows her so well now, and she knew exactly where she was at. Others might just panic a little bit, but she just let her get through that and hit the line really, really well. So,
Couple of runs in to this point. What have you made of your first 2 runs back?
Look, been really happy with both runs this time in. First day out, she was at a rating, that rating 82, and to go straight up into an open class race first up, look, she couldn't win a maiden 1400, so we were always going to be up against it. We put the claim on, and I just told Bailey just to save ground and don't go wide. She did exactly what we wanted her to do, which is perfect. Next day in the Windsor Park, again a mile, we just slipped coming out the gate, so we were probably 3 or 4 lengths further back. But look, her last furlong was fantastic. Someone told me she was the second fastest last 600 of the race. So going forward, that's really exciting for us.
He is simply too tough. The hometown hero does it. Gold man. He has got there. Frida Fur is second, third. Gino Severini, Harvick Britannia behind him.
How much improvement has there been in her day 2 to Saturday?
Oh, definite improvement. The coach come right. She's still had a bit of fluff and that sort of stuff hanging around, but all of that's sort of gone now, and she's really come on again. There was good improvement from the first to the second day, and I think there'll be similar improvement again. She's never let us down. We've never been disappointed in a single run of hers, to be honest. I expect her to go really well. She's improved. Look, it's Group 1 racing. She's a 4-year-old mare going up against big kids again. She gets a good weight relief. She drops to 55.5 being weight for age, so that'll certainly be in our favour. So if we can get a good trip, I think we'll be right on the firing line.
Going to get the latest on the Tony Pike stable now, and Tony obviously running all around this weekend. But first of all, let's head to Ashburton in the Group 3 Barneswood Farm Stakes. And in the feature, you've got Chanel, and there you go. Just couldn't have been any more impressive last time out. How's she gone on with it since then?
Yeah, she's trained on really well. Obviously, she was very dominant. First time on a decent track last start. Admittedly, it was only maiden at Riccarton, but she ran really good time. The sectionals were great, and I think she's a filly that's really progressive, lovely big action filly with plenty of strength. And be interesting to see where she measures up. Obviously, Andrew Carson's filly and I wish I win the 2 benchmarks, but she'll put herself in the race, and I think she'll be very hard to beat.
On what she did last time out, especially on the clock, you must have been really thrilled with her.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, she's been into a bit of trouble in the first 2 starts, both in stakes races. Probably track conditions weren't really suitable either, so we took luck out of the equation first up at Riccarton, and Cozzy crossed and led quite comfortably, but was rolling along at a pretty solid tempo, and she seemed to enjoy that, got into a nice rhythm and really put a space in them late. So off that win, you'd think she'd progress even further, and should be very hard to beat on Saturday.
Are you similarly positive with her on Saturday?
Look, probably around Ashburton we will be. She's drawn well again. We'll just leave that up to Cozzy. He'll be positive early, and if something wants to kick up inside and we'll go a touch quick, then he'll probably just take a sit off it. But she'll definitely probably be in the first 2 or 3 in the run.
Okay, and from here, obviously, it's Guineas time. Is she just in 1,000 guineas?
Yeah, she is. She's in 1,000 guineas, so we'll get through Saturday safely. Hopefully she runs well, and we'll probably normally use the Ashburton trials just as a pipe opener before the 1,000 guineas.
Okay, and Chanel also winning that day, albeit in a fair bit slower time. How has she progressed?
Yeah, she's a progressive filly. She obviously wasn't as brilliant as the go at Riccarton the other day, but they did go quite slow tempo early. She's very genuine in her races. She's good first up at Tirapa. She sat 3 deep and fought on really well in what was a very strong maiden 3-year-old field. So look, she's drawn to get a lovely trip just in behind the speed, and she's definitely not out of the place, not out with a chance of running into the placings and getting some black type for the Oaks.
How are you measuring them up? Is there you go the top seed of your pair?
Oh, look, off probably her form should have to be. She ran well in 2 stakes races at the first 2 starts, and then obviously ran the time and did it very dominantly last start. So, should have to be the pick of my 2. But look, Chanel's genuine, and if the 2 favourites don't turn up, it wouldn't surprise me to see her going close into the money.
Okay, just tell me how they sort of compare to your best 3-year-olds you've taken to 1,000 guineas in the past.
Look, I think she's probably up there. She obviously very lightly raced, but she's a filly we've always had a massive opinion of. Just really struggled to get track conditions in the right races, obviously in the spring, which has been difficult. So, as a type, she's big, strong, powerful filly, and obviously heading the right way. So, I think she's probably one of the better chances heading down to the 1,000 guineas.
Okay, let's rip through your runners for the weekend. There's plenty of them. Stay at Ashburton to start with. You've got Dawn Parade in the second. The run probably a little bit below what we'd expected, especially when the horse had run so well at Hastings leading in.
Yeah, he's a difficult horse. If things go wrong in a race, he can tend to throw the toys out of the cotton and just do things wrong. We've tinkered with a few gear changes for this weekend, and he's actually copped a barrier draw, which he hasn't for quite a while. He did cop a check last start at the 600 and then became all awkward around the corner, and he made up ground, but on the face of it, probably a touch below par. He's drawn to land a lot closer on Saturday from gate 1, and look, if he brings his best form, he's very capable of winning a race like this. It's just what day you catch him on, unfortunately.
Hopefully it's the right one this weekend, and Providence Provides was terrific last time out. You go into the last, obviously with a bit of confidence off the back of that performance. Yeah,
she was the same. She ran great time the other day at Riccarton, and she's a filly that's really strengthened up as a 4-year-old. She was competitive in some nice races at 3, but probably was just a little bit big and weak at that stage. She's really finished into a lovely 4-year-old mare, and obviously she's just got to bring that form on Saturday to be very competitive again. It's a deep race though, a lot of form for a South Island 74, and it's not going to be an easy race to win, but she's going from strength to strength, and hopefully she's dominant Saturday. We can sneak her into the Caulfield Mile off a lightweight.
Absolutely. Let's talk Hastings now. Rapids Falls kicks off your team there in the second. You get this horse up to 2,000 metres.
Yeah, she was really good first up at the mile, and second up probably just raced a touchdown when she came off heels. Probably just a bit of second up syndrome there, and I think the step up to 2,000 metres third up is going to be ideal. She's drawn to get a beautiful trip in the trial, and she is a filly that seems to be more effective when she's held up for the last run at them. So she's got all those factors in her favour on Saturday, and she should be a really good each way chance in a very even race.
Okay, to race 4, you've got Magic Show in the 3-year-old race. What can we expect here?
Yeah, obviously a big rising class off a synthetic maiden win, but she's a very progressive filly and shown good ability at the trials before her debut win. So she's drawn to get a lovely trip in gate 1. Looks to be good tempo in the race, which will suit her. She can tend to get a little bit keen mid-race. So as long as they roll along, she's drawn to get a soft trip, and it'll be interesting to see how she matches up against some pretty quality 3-year-olds.
Yeah, you'd expect that 4 Queensland match up pretty well in the 7th as well. The form looks to be really good around her time. Yeah, look, she's going super, but she's just not putting them away in her races. She loomed up to win the other day at Tiara, and just not really going through with it. So, she's in good form, as you say. She's drawn probably to have to go back a touch, but that might be a good thing. If she gets the last crack at them, she's definitely good enough to win that race on Saturday. Okay, and then to the last, where you've got Tell-All. What are you expecting with him? Yeah, disappointed first up, but I think it was just track conditions that day. A lot of the favoured runners throughout the day, really struggled with those sticky track conditions on the first start, Hawke's Bay. He's trained on really well. He'll strip a lot fitter and obviously should get track conditions to suit. So I'd definitely expect an improved performance from him on Saturday. Before we let you go, I want to find out about Peter Kaka. When will we see him next? He's going to run the Geelong Classic on Wednesday. It's a final lead up to the Derby over 2,200 metres. We've taken the blinkers off him, and hopefully he draws a gate on Wednesday finally, and he can just take a sit in behind the speed. He went well last start, but he ran his first 422 seconds, which was never going to work over 800 metres at Flemington. He just got too keen. So he's trained on well, and as long as he settles on Wednesday, I think he'll be a really strong winning chance, and hopefully onwards to the Derby after that. Absolutely. Best of luck for your weekend racing, Tony. Thanks, Ed. And at this point as well, we just wanted to really give you a push for the National Vaccination Day. we want all people in racing getting involved with vaccinations so that racing can continue. And you can find out more at the website on the screen. Big day of racing at Ashburton on Saturday as well. And we're really looking forward to the feature there, the Group 3 Barneswood Farm Stakes. It's a key lead up not only to the 2,000 guineas, but also the 1,000 guineas with a great mix of boys and girls in this one. And the man we're calling on to not only give us the calls on the races, but also some insight into the form, Matthew Cross. Geez, some sort of day at Ashburton. Really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, there is, Aidan, and look, we had a fair bit of rain over the middle part of the week, but the last day or so it's been quite fine. I'm based here just north of Christchurch at the moment, so an hour and a half away from Ashburton. Weather's fine and sunny here, so hoping that it's like that down the road in mid-Canterbury. The track conditions should suit everyone, especially if it's in that drying sort of a dead range. And yeah, the Barneswood Farm Stakes each and every year gives us a really good guide, not only to the 2,000 guineas on day one of Cup Week, but as well to the 1,000 guineas on the last day. And it's been a race where the fillies can certainly pop up, and we've got a pretty nice one this year who will go around pretty short.
Absolutely, and I think more than anything, it's become the fillies' guide this race. And you talk about Art de Triomphe. There you go. It was so good last time out. Who did you land on?
I didn't think it was as simple as Art de Triomphe just slotting in and running past. This is definitely her toughest test to date, with the 3-year-olds with a bit more experience under their belt. 1,400 metres is obviously maybe not a query for her, but we're into the unknown territory with a pretty smart horse. I thought I Wish I Win last time was good at Hawke's Bay. They've gone with the blinkers on him this time around. I think from the outside gate, it might actually not be all that bad, because Rohan Madhu won't have any pressure to sort of hold up like you would if you were drawn an inside gate. So he's got plenty of options drawn out there wide, whether he goes forward, he's going to have no traffic worries early, or whether he goes back and tries to find a spot if the speed's good enough. I think I Wish I Win can win. His form from last season is excellent. It's been stacked up on a few occasions. Art de Triomphe has shown plenty of excellence in her last 2 runs over 1,200 metres. The 1,400, I don't think will be a worry if she gets a smother in the race, and she's shown that she can get handy as well. A horse that I wouldn't put down as a winning chance is There You Go. The way that she ran at Riccarton the other day, she was a little bit green halfway up the straight as well, but she's gone 122.93 and done it all on her own. From a wideish barrier draw, gets a better gate, 54.5 kilos. She's the third of the genuine winning chances. And outside of that, I rated Chanel as a place hope. But I think there's 3 chances, Aidan. I'm not going to single any of them out to you. I Wish I Win, Art de Triomphe, There You Go would come as no surprise to see any of those 3 win this year's Group 3 feature.
I tend to agree, but I'll be asking you for a top selection as part of the coverage tomorrow for sure, Matt. What about outside that? Obviously, it's a really good card with some terrific races on that undercard. What were you liking through the program?
Look, Aidan, it's very testing, some of those races, and I'm sure that the bookmakers would have been scratching their head and having plenty of chats about who goes where and who we're going to put up as the favourite. I thought race number 9, the rating 65, 1,400, Mr. Reliable, the horse that we saw here in the south on a 2,000 guineas campaign. Nothing went right for him there. He's been a winner at Ashburton over the 1,400. First up run I thought was very good, that being in behind Powerful Moss. Wideish gate for him. I think he'll find a spot and he'll roll home in race number 9, the 1,400 rating 65. And the best betting race of the day, I think, is the last. There's a plethora of chances in there. You could just about make a case for every horse. I think Milford Sound's second up. He'll be at a no excuses point of his campaign. From all reports, Andrew Carston is pleased with where he's at. 1,400 metres is a big tick for him. Gets a better barrier draw than he did last time out. Drops back 2 grades. We've seen his class through the back end of his last campaign at stakes level. $15 I thought was big overs for a horse with a massive motor. And race number 10, the rating 74, 1,400. Aidan?
Yep, I tend to agree, Matt, and really looking forward to that last race as well, and really looking forward to the program. Looking forward to your part on trackside as well. We'll be tuning in to get your commentaries, and also we're wanting a little bit more form insight from you tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I've got what have we got? 24 hours, Aidan. So I'll have a good think about who we're going to lob on top in that 3-year-old race. But yeah, really competitive go there. And the undercards, brilliant. We've got the Ashburton Cup, of course, over 1,200 metres, looking for Need I Say More to bounce back to winning form. Weka Force returns, as well as Kaimar War and Summer Monsoon. So there's some beauties on the undercard as well, and we'll be looking forward to the first at 5 after 12.
We'll make it a date then, Matt. Looking forward to the Group 3 feature as well, the Barneswood Farm 3-year-old. Let's find out more around one of the key contenders in the race, the Andrew Carston trained Arthur Tree.
She's a nice filly. She's a good body, lovely head. Wasn't overly big, I'll be honest. She's had good type and she was worth a fair bit of money, so always good to have them come in the stable. And when Albert and Matt are picking them at the sales, yeah, it's pretty exciting. Miss Federer here are not completely different, I'll be honest. They're both, nice, well put together fillies. Obviously this one's a little more confirmation, is a little bit better than Miss Federer, but yeah, look, I like a filly with a bit of attitude, and always helps. And I don't like a big heavy horse either, rather than small and compact. This filly is very easy. She eats and sleeps and doesn't cause me too much grief. And she's pretty easy to have around the place. Her first run, she was arguably the best run of the day. Come from a long way back, and another 2 strides she probably wins, behind a couple of handy horses as Michael Pittman's. So yeah, that gives us a little bit of confidence because, I'll be honest, mine don't get fired up. I don't fizz them up for their runs. Let the 2-year-olds do their own thing. Her second run was obviously a win, and then we went into the listed race. And look, the track's got a little bit firm by that time of the autumn, and she got pushed and shoved a little bit in that race. And not being a very big filly, it just a little bit intimidated. And look, she stuck on well to run 4th, but she didn't have all things go her way.
That first up run from Ashburton, a lot of talk around her when she came in. Did you share that confidence?
She drew a bad gate. I sort of said to Kylie, the Canterbury Bell's only less than 2 weeks away. We've got to go back and relax and just let her run home. And if she's good enough, she'll win. And as it turned out, it scripted perfect. But it was quite an impressive win. I like to have my fillies ready for a Canterbury Bell. I think from then on, going into our spring, we have to take on the boys, and things get harder. So yeah, I was pretty confident, and everything had gone to plan from Ashburton to Riccarton, so it wasn't an overly strong field. And as I said, I think on the day that she had the runs on the board, whereas the Tiaka filly hadn't. She was in front a long way from home. A couple of fillies came late, but she had the race parcelled up. Yeah, funny filly, only does what she has to do at home, and I don't see that turn of foot at home in any of her track work, but it doesn't matter when she saves it for race day. It's very exciting. I'm from Canterbury, obviously born and bred, so it's pretty exciting to have a filly sort of heading in that way. Look, there's still a fair bit of water to go under the bridge between now and Cup Week, but things are going the way I want them to go. So yeah, it's a pretty exciting time.
Barneswood Farm coming up this week. Plans going well. Of course, this will be the last run going into Cup Week.
Yeah, this will be our last run. Yeah, things are going really good. Everything's sort of gone to plan. It's a month between runs from the Canterbury Bell into this race. So she had a pretty quiet week the first week, and then we've just slowly brought things back. But look, she hasn't left a note. She's a pretty easy filly to train, and I'm really happy with how she's done.
What would it feel like to pick up a Group 1 race at Riccarton Park, most notably this one?
Words couldn't explain how it would be for me. My 6th or 7th year training, and things are going really well. It would be, I think I won a Group 3 race, so yeah, it would be outstanding.
Good to have your company here on The Form, and it is Caulfield Cup Day. Really looking forward to the 2,400 metre feature out of Melbourne today. Murray Baker and Andrew Forsman, who won this race in 2015 with Mongolian Khan, initially had 2 runners in the race. The chosen one has been going so well, and also Quick Thinker. We spoke with Andrew Forsman on Friday morning. At that point, the Quick Thinker was still in the race, but only shortly after that, we did lose Quick Thinker to a tendon injury, so here's a late scratching. We'll go back and catch that interview. And initially I asked Andrew about how well the chosen one was going.
The chosen one's in great form. He's worked well this week. Damien Lanes, he came in and galloped him just as his one gallop he had this week after racing on Saturday, and he was really happy with how he is and feels that he's going as good as he ever has.
Can you just assess his preparation leading up into what he did last weekend and how he's going?
Yeah, I think obviously the first up run was good. He always does a pretty good race fresh up, and that was a good effort at weight for age. He covered a bit of ground in that race and hit the line strongly, probably improved off it. Second up, he can always be a bit funny, and it was a tricky race that obviously up against some sharp weight for age horses, and he was just a bit flat when they sprinted, and he boxed on okay there, but that was just a typical second up effort for him. And then we really saw him hit his straps and show that he's near his peak from what he did in the Herbert Power last Saturday.
Everything points to him going as well, or if not better than last year, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So I guess the concern for him would be the rain. If the track got really bad, I'm not sure now, being an older stallion, how effective he would be. A lot of his recent racing has been on better footing, or his better performances have been on good ground. And yeah, he wouldn't want a track that really deteriorated throughout the day.
Obviously, you've won one of these Caulfield Cups in the past. Can you compare him to how Mongolian Calm was going in back in 2015?
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways he's probably ability-wise as good as Mongolian Calm. What separates them is their racing pattern. The Chosen One is very vulnerable because he's just a natural back marker. He doesn't have that early tactical speed that Mongolian Khan had. He could put himself in the race and be right there ready to strike, whereas the Chosen One is very reliant on a good draw, not getting too far back, because in an 18-horse field of a Caulfield Cup, when they're all quality gallopers, you can't be going back to last and thinking you're just going to round them up. So he needs to be able to make the most of a relatively good draw and try and posse up midfield.
Okay, he does look primed from here. Does he go on to a Melbourne Cup?
Yeah, that's the plan. Love to have a crack at it. And yeah, it's nice to see, or at least in the Caulfield Cup, there isn't that European influence. He was beaten by two very good horses, and Very Elegant and Anthony Van Dyke last year. They're not there, obviously, this year. And yeah, hopefully he can go a couple better.
Obviously, it's strange old times at the moment. I think you can't even get out to get to a race meeting at all this weekend. But how disappointing is it for both you and Murray?
Yeah, it is. It is very frustrating. I know, particularly for Murray. He's a Melbourne Cup is a race he's been desperately trying to win for a long time. He's had some really good horses running it. He's had some good performances in it. A runner-up finish at one point, and I know that this year we feel we've got a live chance at everything going to plan. And it's a shame that he can't be over there to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's turn our attention back to New Zealand. Of course, Group 1 racing this weekend, and you've got a Group 1 runner in Robusto in that Livermore Classic. Just tell us, how's it going?
Yeah, she's ticking along nicely. She was only second up last time at Hastings. I think she probably just sort of peaked on her run, but she's very game. She kept trying. She's probably better suited than a lot of others that wait for age in this race. I guess just the query is the bad barrier draw. She is a horse that sort of will be wanting to jump and put herself just in behind that, what should be a pretty good tempo. And just from that draw, it's a little bit hard to know how much work she'll have to do early. And hopefully she can just get across and slot into a good position and behind the speed without having to do too much work.
I knew I'd got a gender wrong as soon as I asked you. Just about her, I remember from last year, and I remember Murray always referred to her as a hat rack. She's very lean. Has she changed much, getting older?
Yeah, she is. She's probably, she's getting older and she's a bit, she does carry good enough condition. She's just not very big. But she's certainly very game, and that's, she really has that real will to win, which is probably a trait of the sire, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess the more truly run it is on Saturday, the better her chances is. Is that fair?
I think so, because now she's fit. She's probably in a perfect world looking for a touch further than the 2,000 metres. So if it was a solidly run race, hopefully her sort of staying powers come into play, I suppose.
Yeah, do you have some influence on that? Do you put her as part of the speed?
Yeah, we'll be trying. With horses like Big Mike and Chevelle Promoteur, they'll naturally just be too fast for her early. So the key will be, being as close to them as we can, again, without having to do too much work early on.
Okay, yeah, and earlier you've got Joy Alone, who seems to be ticking along really nicely. We know she was, Group 3 quality last year, and maybe even better if we'd got to see the best of her. How's she going for this one?
She's going great. She's a very classy mare. She's going to win good races, we hope, this preparation. But yeah, the key will be she's only had one trial on the synthetic track, and we know that she's probably going into this race at a mile a little bit vulnerable fitness-wise. She's been off the scene for a while, and there's horses in there that have raced, and they'll be a lot more forward and in condition than she will be. But having said that, if she gets the right run, we feel she's probably good enough to go a very bold race.
Okay, and on Sunday at Rotorua, you've got Francesca going around. Obviously, she's had a couple of niggles that's forced her out of a couple of Group 3 races, but everything all okay for this weekend?
Yeah, touch wood. We've sort of got through this week and everything looks really, really good. She had her final gallop this morning. We've trotted her up. She looks in great order. So, yeah, fingers crossed we're all good to go. And this run, hopefully, will just set her up for perhaps a crack at some black type in the next few weeks.
Yep. What about this weekend? What are you expecting?
She's very genuine. Like she's drawn well. Yes, she's got a big weight, but she'll jump, put herself right in the race, and she'll be, fighting it out right to the finish. Whether, she can hold off something with a claim, or she's giving a decent concession in weight too. That might be the telling factor in the end. But I'm sure she's in the right form to run very well again.
Okay, and that black type target, what could we see her in?
At this stage, there's a few options. Backing up in the Thompson down at Trentham's probably a little bit too tough, but we won't completely rule it out. But then the following week, there's the listed mile, which is at this stage scheduled to be at Pukekohe, but not sure where that'll be run. But that's probably the race we've got in the back of our mind. Just
tell us how you assess her. Like on what we've seen so far, she could be anything. What's the stable opinion on her?
Yeah, she's very good. I think, and she's has been quite a hard horse to manage. Just had her share of niggling little issues, so we just have to be a little bit cautious with her, and we're not going to over race her. And so I guess that being said, she's good. We just need to keep her in one piece, and we'll see the best of her. And I'm sure she's good enough to get to the highest grade. She just probably needs that little bit of give in the ground. She's not a horse we'll be running through the summertime or anything like that.
Okay, good as gold. I really appreciate you giving us all that insight into the stable runners for the weekend, Andrew. And let's hope you can pick up a Caulfield Cup tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Heading to Melbourne now, and we're going to talk Caulfield Cup with Damien Thornton, who's got a Kiwi connection in the race as well. But before we get on to that, Damien, congratulations for earning the 1,000 guineas on Wednesday. How big a thrill was that?
Oh, it was huge. That was a great result, and to get the opportunity off Team Hawks and Arrowfield, it was pretty good feeling, and just to get the job done was big relief.
Absolutely. Now you try and emulate that in the Caulfield Cup, and you team up with Ocean Billy, a horse we know well here in New Zealand from his Auckland Cup feats through Bill Pomeroy. These days with Chris Waller, and I think Chris provided you with your first Group 1 win. Is that right?
Yeah, he did. So my first Group 1 was for him in Adelaide. I won the Oaks on a horse called Toffee Tongue. So he gave my first Group 1, and hopefully give him my third on Saturday.
Absolutely. Have you been aboard this horse yet?
Yeah, I galloped him on Tuesday morning here at Flemington, just on the course proper, and he worked nice for mine. He went out there, he did his work, no worries, and he gave me a good feel. So, on his work, I'm more than happy to be riding him.
Just tell us what sort of impression you've got of the horse from doing the videos on.
He had his blinkers on Tuesday morning, so he gave me a good feel then. And just watching his films, he's an interesting horse. He was the way they sort of rode him in the Auckland Cup, so they put him in the race early, and he sustained a good gallop. So gather he's a very good stayer. But yeah, he looks like he's sort of got a bit of speed in his legs with the way he went first up this prep. So not 100% sure what to make of him. Get a better feel on Saturday than before the big one in the first Tuesday next month. But looking forward to it, but not really sure what to expect either.
Absolutely. It must be a bit of a funny feeling going into a Group 1, really not knowing a huge amount around your horse.
Yeah, it's interesting. Not a situation I've been in before. Normally I've ridden them or seen them race here in Australia before I've been able to get on them. So coming from New Zealand, it's new to me. So I'll probably learn a lot as well.
Tell us about your Caulfield Cup record. Have you ridden in the race many times before?
No, I haven't. I missed out last year because I had a broken foot and missed out the whole spring. So this will be the sort of first time I've actually been able to ride through spring. While I've actually sort of starting to improve my riding and slowly take that next step. So this is the first real crack I've had at a spring, and so far I've had a bit of success.
Has there been any talk about if Ocean Billy runs well for you on Saturday that you might be able to retain the ride for the Melbourne Cup?
I hope so. So I think at this stage that's the plan. I think, but a lot of proof will be in the pudding come Saturday around Caulfield.
Okay, just when you sum it all up, how competitive can he be?
I think on his work he can run really well. He's got the right form over a trip in New Zealand to be competitive in this sort of race, and it's not the strongest Caulfield Cup we've seen over the years, obviously with no European horses, and the internationals are pretty scarce now with the new rules. So, look, I think he can certainly run well. Where he finishes, I don't know. I think he can, definitely finish in the first half of the field, provided we get the right run. We've got a good gate, so the feel he gives me, he'll run well.
Okay, good as go. Let's have a look at a couple of other rides through the day. Extreme Flight's an interesting one for you in the third for the Freedmans. What are you making of this horse?
I think he's a nice horse. He never got going until they put blinkers on him in his third start at Moe. And then he really let rip with a good turn of foot. And then he went to Sandown and turned the tables on a horse that beat him by 6 lengths in a maiden 2 starts ago. So blinkers did the trick. He's a nice horse. He likes wet tracks. So I'll just be happy if it rains tonight as well.
Okay, in the fifth, you team up with the Chris Waller trained Antonio Giovanni, a horse who does have New Zealand connections as well, and looks progressive too.
Looks that way. I haven't done all my homework on him as yet, but sort of just quickly been through his form. He looks like he's progressive. He's going to get to a trip. And James McDonald's been riding him in Sydney, so they must have an opinion of him. So, look, it'll be interesting to see how he goes tomorrow coming down from Sydney, but they wouldn't bring him down for the hell of it.
Who's the pick of your rides tomorrow, Damien?
Probably Extreme Flight at the going by the market.
Okay, good as go. Well, you'll be an honorary Kiwi if you can bring us home Caulfield Cup success, and we wish you all the best for that.
I'll be right. Thank you.
Getting you off to Melbourne on the eve of Caulfield Cup Day, and a man who's been a big part of the Racing.com coverage is our very own Michael Walker. Kia ora, Michael. Great to see you back on the TV screens. How are you enjoying being part of the coverage?
Kia ora, Aidan. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's obviously something different. I'm used to being interviewed, not doing the interviews and giving obviously pre and post race comments, but it's really enjoyable.
Yeah, and the feedback's been really good too. Obviously, Caulfield Cup Day tomorrow. You even head down into the form?
Yeah, I've had a couple of appointments with my surgeons this morning, so just been doing that, and now I've just jumped into the car. I'll head home. As you know, Aidan, you do it yourself. It's the best part of half a day. It takes you to really get through it. So my head will be in the office, in the laptop, and obviously on the phone and the best bets and so forth, doing the form.
Okay, before we get on to that form, which I know you've had a brief glance over, how did the surgeon visit go? What's the word on the injuries?
Yeah, everything seems to be coming along really well. Obviously, the first and foremost, I'm really lucky. Three operations in 5 days to save my leg, and I'm very thankful that they were able to. Else I might have ended up a pirate or something. So I'm very happy that they did that, and all systems really go at the moment. I think I come back in a month's time, and sort of on track to ride the end of March, Aidan. So really positive news.
That's a bit sooner than maybe we could have expected, is it?
Yeah, I don't know why, but my surgeons seem to think maybe my culture that I heal better. That's what they say. I just goes in one ear and out the other. But they think that they do say that I heal really quick, which is a good thing. Obviously within ACL and ligaments and that, it's usually 12 months. So they're trying to get me back in 7 months, which I'm very thankful and hopeful that they can.
Yeah, well, you've bounced back from injury a few times over the years. Geez, that body's been through a lot, maybe.
What have I had? Head injuries, back injuries, hip replacements, thumb injuries. You name it, I've had it, Carls.
Exactly. Just looking ahead to that Caulfield Cup, and I know you've had a glance over the form. If you had a chance to be riding one in the race, who would it be?
For me right now, it all depends on the weather. We're supposed to get up to 60 mils tomorrow, between 40, 60 mils. Looking outside now, I'm only probably 15 minutes from Caulfield and I can't see any rain. I think they got a little bit overnight, but bugger all. It's supposed to start later this afternoon and come tomorrow. If it does come tomorrow, Aidan, and I'm not just saying this horse because it's a Kiwi horse, but the chosen one.
Yeah.
If the rain comes, you know what it's like here, Aidan. A good mile and a half. You need a strong, tough stayer, a fit stayer, and a horse that handles the wet. And he loves it. He's trained by, the mastermind and Murray Baker, who's such an amazing trainer, champion trainer. He's got such good record in these staying races when he comes to Australia. So for me, if the rain comes, the chosen one. If it doesn't come and it's a dead track, I really can't go past Incentivized. To see what he's done from not being able to win a Toowoomba Maiden a few months ago to obviously being the favourite for a Caulfield Cup and winning 2 Group 1s in a row and obviously at weight for age. And I look at him, I've been doing obviously comments at racing.com about him. The horse still hasn't changed onto the right leg left-handed. He still hasn't worked it out. So you imagine when he does work out how to go around left-handed, what he can do. I honestly think if he backed up on a Cox plate, he could win that.
They think they will go Melbourne Cup with him, though, don't they? And he's got to be a chance in that too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Speaking to Peter Moody and also listening to what he's had to say, it might be this preparation a bridge too far right now. But at the same time, if he demolishes him tomorrow in the Caulfield Cup, he's probably going to only meet 4 or 5 different horses in the Melbourne Cup. If he demolishes them, I should say, in the Caulfield Cup. But hey, if as a jockey, say I was riding him and I killed them demolished them in the Caulfield Cup today, I'll be saying, Pete, please run in the Cox Plate, then the Melbourne Cup. Just so I could win those big 3. But he's an outstanding horse. He's trained by a champion trainer, and riding him is Brett Preble, who's riding out of his skin at the moment. He's really in good top form.
Okay, let's look ahead then. If you had one to pick out for Cox Plate Derby Melbourne Cup, who would you be looking at?
I really, for the Melbourne Cup, Aidan, I really need to see how the Caulfield Cup plays out first, and also how the imports go in the Cox Plate, Gold Trip and so forth. But I actually like Gold Trip in the Cox Plate. I think he's going really well, and he's got the form behind him to really make his mark in a Cox Plate. And you'd have to call me again, Melbourne Cup. There's probably 10 horses at the moment that I like, but I need to obviously see how things play out. Horses that get into the obviously Melbourne Cup. I'll tell you a horse that I liked early doors, and if I had been riding, I would have tried to get on, is Charlie Rose.
Oh yeah.
She's still not in the race, and she could have, but just missed out the other day. But trained by the people and at Warrnambool and outstanding trainers, and she was favourite, I think, for it last year. Leading into it, never ran, and I just think she's taken the right path. That she's got to obviously win the Moonee Valley Cup or the Bart Cummings to get in, and I think if she can, put your little bucks on it, her each way, because she'll be at odds.
Okay, good year. One thing I'm really keen to get, and we probably will take you up on coming back to you here at the Melbourne Cup too, is this insight that you're getting from the broadcast point of view. When it comes back to riding, do you think it's going to aid you?
I think it's going to aid me more. I'm older now. I'm an old guy now. I'm an old jockey now. I'm one of the old statesmen. But I think it's going to also help me with obviously interviews, Aidan. But because of the reason I can see the preparation that you guys go through for the day's racing, like you have your form done 2 days beforehand, and and work tirelessly hours through the night to do your form. It's just amazing, and I take my hat obviously off to you guys, Aidan, for the preparation that you guys put in. I didn't think there was that much in it, but there is a load, and obviously I'm having to do it now. And I tell you what, I get to Saturday night. By the time I get home at 7 o'clock, I'm asleep on the couch, and Sunday I wake up like I've got a hangover. it's just that tiring, with all the lights and all the cameras in you and thinking all day. So it will, but also with my riding, I think it's going to help because I've learned a lot more do's and don'ts around these Victorian tracks.
Yeah, absolutely. We really enjoyed being part of the coverage. Obviously, I've got that connection to you back home, Michael. So really enjoying that, and we will get in touch with you. And I don't think they're calling you quarter on the jockey's ring yet, are they?
No. Harry's still got that one. Old Harry's still got the koro. No, they don't.
Good as gold.
Obviously, the younger boys coming through, I'm noticing that there's a lot more little apprentices, and I'm getting higher at the end of the older boys. So, no, it's good. I'm loving it. And I'm seeing good upcoming people come through. And obviously, thank you for having me, Aidan. And it's good to see you, cuz, see face to face again. And obviously, everyone back home. I miss yous. I miss my kids, obviously, all my family. And rest in peace to my Uncle Keith, who died last night. Just send my wishes and my love to my family back home because I can't be there.
Kia ora, Michael. And yeah, we echo those, obviously, thoughts with your family.
Cheers, guys.
A chance to talk the Everest now. We've grabbed Kieran McAvoy, who's won 3 out of the 4 editions so far. It's some sort of record, isn't it, Kieran? I guess it's one you're really proud of.
Yeah, morning, Aidan. It is a good record to be proud of. It's quite an amazing run I've had in this big race, and it's been a stellar run, and hoping to continue it this weekend with the grey boy. He's back in fine form, and looking forward to see if we can topple them all again.
Absolutely. You talk about classic legends who you rode to win last year. And of course, you rode Red Zell to win the first 2 races. Can you tell me, are there similarities between these 2 horses?
Yeah, both great sprinters, that's for sure. And Red Zell was a little bit different. He was up on the front end and controlling things up the front and kicking off a hot speed. And Classic Legend gets back in the field a bit and he comes with a powerful barnstorming finish. So a little bit different in their racing pattern, but great sprinters all the same. And yeah, just been lucky enough to throw my leg over those 2 champs. So it's a great lineup again this year, stock full of really good horses.
Just tell us a little bit about him, because one thing we know about him, because of that racing style that you've mentioned, there's a horse who has captured public imagination over there, isn't he? He's a really popular horse just because of the way he finishes off his races.
Yeah, exactly right. He's we haven't seen him on our shores for a little while at the racetrack, but with social media these days, there's always pictures and videos getting out of all our top horses, and it's great for the sport. So he has got a good following. He's a bit of a dude at track work. Everyone likes giving him a pat when he's out having a pick, and he's got a nice calm nature as well. So he's an easy horse to like, and he's pretty fast to boot. So that makes it even better.
Just tell us, how do you expect the race to pan out for him?
Yeah, interesting question, because obviously there's a lot of speed in the race, and you've got Nature Strip and Eduardo drawn out wide, and I doubt they'll go as quick as what they did last year. I think it might be a little bit more steadily run through the first furlong anyway, and then it will be interesting to see where they all line up. And I've got to be just Johnny on the spot, so to speak, and just try and lob into a position where my horse is comfortable. But I've been pleased with the way he's popped out of the barriers at the trials. He's been able to get out and take a position, and that's a good string to have in your bow, so to speak. So he doesn't have to sit 8 lengths off them like he was last year. It's just a case of having him comfortable, in relation to the speed in the race. So yeah, I'll be just mindful of how easy Eduardo and Nature Strip are getting it. These good horses, they only need an easy section down the side, and then they're off and running and very hard to catch. So there's a bit of rain hanging around today, so it will be interesting to see how the track races on Saturday. I'm hoping that it can dry up a little bit, and my horses adapt on soft ground, but I'd prefer it not to be heavy. So it's going to sort of add all these different elements into the race, just to make it that bit more interesting for everyone.
Absolutely. Taking everything into account, Kieran, what are you expecting of him this weekend?
I think he's going really well. It's it's been a different preparation. This preparation, when he came back from overseas, he was a bit light over the top and a bit light in condition, and Les just had to get him back looking well and and feeling well and nice and round. And he done that, and then he had to work on his fitness, and it was a case of just being behind the 8 ball a little bit in terms of having him ready for a first up race. So Les had to change tack and just master up a new plan, and that meant we had to go to the race first up. But at the same time, he's been able to get a bit more miles into his legs, so to speak, and he's had 3 trials. He's given me a better feeling each time he's gone to the trials, and I think he can do it. I really do. I think he's a great fresh horse. I just wouldn't want the track to be heavy. We predicted a bit more rain today. I'd love the rain to miss Randwick because he's gone on soft before, but just the task gets a bit harder, I think, if the track's heavy and you're first up against these horses that have had runs under their belts. So, yeah, I'm going to be trying to shoo away the clouds today, that's for sure.
One thing you mentioned there, Kieran, is obviously the factor of Les Bridge, who's just an icon in training. I remember sort of growing up and watching Kenside win Melbourne Cups and things, and obviously he's had great success from really only small numbers. Just tell us about his influence over this Everest.
Yeah, it's been great to work with Les. Since Classic Legend come on the scene, I was lucky enough to team up with this horse and Les more frequently, and he's he's an icon of the sport, and trudges around with his little dog by his side, and he loves getting up early in the mornings, and he loves horses and loves training, and he's, as you said, he's won numerous big races, Golden Slippers, Melbourne Cups back in the day, and obviously Hot Danish was his most recent star before Classic Legend, and now this fella's came along, and yeah, it's been unreal to work with Les. He's really fun, and I enjoy working with him. He's a man of few words, but I think he's enjoyed having this horse in his stable, and he's enjoyed working alongside me, and so it's pleasing going forward. And he's a real gent, and hopefully I can do it for Les and the team. He's got a great team behind him, so it'd be great to pull it off again for them.
Absolutely. Well, just if we can, we've got access to you, Kieran. Just rip through a few of your rides earlier on. You've got more Sundays in the highway. I think one of your early rides. What are your chances fresh?
Yeah, I think this horse can run well. He doesn't mind a bit of juice in the ground, and I rode him a few times in his career. I think it was last prep I rode him fresh, and he was running on around 4th at Randwick. So he looks to have trialled nicely coming into this. Obviously, it's a great lineup of horses in this race, with many with chances, but I think he can run a nice race and be good each way value there early in the day.
Okay, move you on to the Reg Allen, and you've got Mystic Mermaid, who ran a really good race for second on debut. This is a bit of a step up, though, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit of a step up, but you wouldn't be surprised if she just improves a ton out of that first run. Just got back a little bit after stepping a bit slowly, and was running on out wide there at Wyong. So you'd have to think that a bigger track at Randwick and longer straight is going to assist if we do have to give them a little bit of a start. But keep an eye on this one at odds as well.
Okay, moving on to the Sydney Stakes, and you've got Standout here, who was just run down by obviously a pretty smart one in the Premier last time out in Masked Crusader. What are you rating your chances like here?
Yeah, this horse has been going well without winning. He put up a great performance there last time, as you said, behind Masked Crusader. So you've got to think that's pretty strong form line coming into this, and he gets a nose roll on for the first time. Gerald Ryan's just tinkered around with his gear, and he said he's done really well since. So he's another good ride for me on the day.
Okay, exactly. In the Craven Plate, Hungry Heart. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'd like the rain to stay away for her as well. She was a good run in the Epsom the other day. I think she might be just looking for 2,000 metres now. So if she takes her place there on Saturday, she can run well out to that 2,000 metres.
Okay, St. Ledger, you've got Cariff.
Yep, Cariff. He got back in a steadily run race there last time over 2,000 metres. He goes out to 2,600, which aids his chances. He's another horse that he's adapted on all sort of surfaces. So look for him to bounce back in a truly run race, hopefully for him on the weekend.
Okay, and you round out your day with the Tracy Bartley trained Barossa Rosa. Your thoughts on this runner in the last?
Yeah, she was a good winner there last time at Rose Hill. I'm not sure about her chances on a rain-affected track, but she's in good form. I know that Tracy's been happy with her since that win, and another one, she's good each way value. So she felt in great form there that day. I've ridden her twice this preparation, and she's improved each time. So if she stays on an upward curve, then another one that can run well for me on Saturday.
Okay, Kieran, what are your chances of getting down to Melbourne off the back of this weekend?
We're waiting to hear from the government. They haven't ticked it off yet. We've put in all the relevant forms and stuff. So I'm waiting patiently for the email to lob back in the inbox. But yeah, a few guys are trying to get down for Cox Plate. I'm hopefully going to get down for Derby Day and Cup Day. So waiting patiently to hear from the government.
Have you got a cup runner lined up?
If it all goes ahead, yeah, I'll be on a horse called Grand Promenade. Kieran Maher and Dave Eustace trained. He's got a great record at Flemington, and he's about fourth in line in the market. So yeah, I'm fingers crossed I can get down there for it. It's obviously always great to get a Melbourne Cup ride.
Okay, we really appreciate you giving up your time this morning for us, Kieran, and best of luck. Let's hope you can make it 4 in the Everest on Saturday.
Thanks, Aidan. Have a good day. Many winners.
Off to Randwick for Saturday racing, and it's Everest Day. Brad Gray, we've waited a long time for this, and what a field in store for us. How excited are you?
Yeah, pretty excited, Aidan. It is a cracker field, 12 contenders, high stakes, high pressure, and I'll be back at Randwick for the first time in, I can't remember the last time I was out there, so I have to throw the nav man on in terms of getting back out to the track. But yeah, I'll be giving Nature Strip a cheer in the big one. You've, of course, got the Kosciuszko, you've got the Craven Plate, the Sydney Stakes, the lead up. There's a lot for the punters to sink their teeth into outside of the main course.
Absolutely, there is. Let's focus on the Everest. Really good field in store. How have you assessed it?
I think Nature Strip is very hard to beat. Yeah, as I speak to you, last night, the money for Nature Strip came as fast as the rain. It did tip us into the heavy 8 range. That said, today looks okay and tomorrow looks pretty clear. So fingers crossed we get back into soft, and I do think we will. But that's certainly advantage Nature Strip. When you look at the 2 key horses in this race, it doesn't take a genius to work out that the Nature Strip and Classic Legend. But Classic Legend is first up for nearly a year on the sidelines. So if there wasn't already a query in terms of how fit he was going into this race, you throw in the prospect of a wet track, it just makes that task a little bit harder, doesn't it? So Nature Strip, he's had the perfect lead in. And at the end of the day, if all these horses run up to their peak, Nature Strip and Classic Legend clear out. And then you ask yourself, well, which one's had the best preparation to run up to their peak? And it's no doubt in the world Nature Strip. He'll roll forward. He's drawn perfectly, I think, in a wide draw to sit outside of Eduardo. And the soft track just takes the tempo out of the race a touch. And we know that if he's allowed to build into his races and they don't go too hectic in the middle stages, he's very, very hard to beat because he's just like a juggernaut. He just keeps rolling. He's a big, long thing, and he can run some really slick time. We saw him do that in the TJ Smith over the autumn, over the championships. And if he returns in that vein of form, 1,200 metres, Randwick, soft track, I don't think they'll get near him.
What have you made of the public appearances in the lead up from Classic Legend?
Yeah, well, he's been a steady improver, hasn't he? His first trial back, he looked a little bit ring rusty. He probably did just enough. I think a few punters were maybe scratching their head. They weren't so much after his second trial. He looked very good, the grey. And then the third trial was just pretty much a tick over. I know that Les Bridge was toying with the idea of potentially having a run, but he's been in a race against the clock in terms of having him ready. So he thought the best way to prepare him to run as best as he could get him would be to go into the race first up. So I guess in his corner is the fact that Les Bridge is there, isn't he? He's such an experienced trainer and such a fantastic trainer over the years. So if there is someone to pull off an absolute masterstroke, maybe it is him. But I think if you do like Classic Legend, I do note that he's already on the drift. You can already get $5.56 at around some places in Australia. I'm not sure what his price is in New Zealand, but I think you might even get better because I do think the bookies will want to take him on given the profile he has going into this race, albeit as the defending champion. Outside of those, I think Guitra will run a race. He always does. He's just a beauty. He loves the wet track, draws the inside peg. Whether that's an advantage come race 7, race 8 there at Randwick on Saturday, I'm not too sure, but it does give Jason Collett the chance to just sneak up the fence, plot a path, and we know he is a fantastic ambush jockey. That's where he's at his absolute best, where he just sneaks up in behind, looks for a gap, and then goes bang before you know it. He's won the race. I guess Masked Crusader has to be some kind of hope. The 3-year-old is a fascinating runner into the mix. Home Affairs, how do you measure him up with any confidence? You can't, but there are some similarities between him and Yes. And the other runner that I think is a chance is Eduardo. There is obviously a little query in terms of 1,200 metres at this level, but I think he gets probably the best setup he's ever had going into an Everest before, and I think he'll run well because, again, he's another one that only knows how to.
Pretty complete account of the race for us. Thanks, Brad. Earlier in the day, you've got the Kosciuszko for those country-trained horses. $1 million. It's a great stake for them to be running around for. What were you liking in this one?
Edit, for me, is hard to beat. He's a bit of an up-and-comer. You'd know a bit about him in New Zealand. He had a little bit of a reputation over there. He was obviously purchased over here for Australian connections, probably with their eye on this particular race. In fact, he was dynamite first up. Some of the times he ran late was simply outstanding. I know his trainer, Coney Morgan, was very upfront before that race saying he's likely to need this. We're just going there to blow out the cobwebs. Yet he sat out the back, gave them a start and towed them up. And he ran some really sharp time. Now, can he do that on a wetter track? I guess that remains to be seen. What I did like about his Tamworth win is that his 4 to the 200 metre split was near identical for his last 200 metre split. So that tells me he's a horse that can really sustain a run to the line. So he'll be hooked widest here from that wide draw, giving plenty of time to balance up. And if he's within striking distance, 400 metres out, I think he'll be coming really, really hard. Whether he'll run out of ground, I'm not sure, but he's certainly got some talent. Handle the Truth, he's your highest rated runner in the field. He certainly deserves plenty of respect. And Spiranak is probably the other one worth a mention. I think she'd be a lot more comfortable. It was a dry deck, but I do think she's going particularly well.
Okay, outside that, there's a couple of group races. As we spoke about the Sydney Stakes and the Craven Plate. What were you liking in each of those?
Sydney Stakes. So this is your Everest consolation race. They call it Big Parade, has been well supported, and that's just due to the basis of this track. A lot of these key contenders in this race, I'm talking Senior Fox, Standout, Chat Fatus, they're not particularly fond of getting their toe into the ground. So I can see why the money's come for Big Parade. He's a little bit of an enigma. His best is great, but he can throw in the odd shocker, much to the frustration of punters from time to time. But if he runs up to his best, he's certainly the horse to beat. There's not a lot of speed here. He'll roll forward, and the wet track poses no worries for him whatsoever. And then I guess you got to mention Special K, Kementari. He got the chocolates there first up. God bless him. Ollie roared him home. He got home down the straight, and his record on soft ground is pretty handy as well. So lo and behold, there is a chance of Kementari going back to back.
Yeah, they called it a roar. I think it was more like a scream, though, wasn't it?
Probably. We got to do what you can to get Kementari home, don't you? So maybe Huey's been warming up his vocal cords.
Absolutely, let's hope so too. What are we going for? One of those races as your best of the day?
Yeah, sorry, I just didn't touch on the Craven Plate really quickly. Think it over. He's a very hard horse to justify tipping against. He's just point and shoot. He's a winner, and Nashua Will has clicked with him. But as far as the best of the day, neck on the line. I generally don't do this. Go to the biggest feature of the day to make it a best bet. But I'm so bullish about Nature Strip. It's either going to be rocks or diamonds with him, but I'm pretty confident we'll be coming up diamonds there on Saturday with Nature Strip. And one in the last. I've been tipping this to a few people. I hope he doesn't make me look silly, but he's around $100, $151. And I don't think he's the worst. He's a gentleman. Now, race 10, number 14. He's not an amazing horse in terms of his level of ability, but he's hard fit. He's down in the weights. He makes his own luck. And if this track chops out a little bit, I don't think he's the worst. Maybe to just keep in the top pocket there if you need to get out.
Brilliant. Really appreciate your time as always. Brad Graham will be tuning in for Everest coverage on the trackside.
Thanks, Aidan.
Right now on the form, it's time to look at the best bets for Saturday racing. Good luck if you're following our tips as in for weekend racing as well. And don't forget about the TAB promotions. There's a bonus back blitz on the first four races out of Hastings, Ashburton, Caulfield and Randwick. $30,000 guaranteed first four on every race at Hastings. $50,000 guaranteed Lake Quaddy at Hastings. And a $30,000 guaranteed Lake Quaddy at Ashburton. And that wraps us up here on the form. Our thanks to all the guests who have appeared on the show and hopefully tipped you towards a winner for your Saturday racing, which you can catch live on TAB Trackside 1. Good luck, we'll see you.